You had your chance and then you blew it.
That is the most absurd statement of the year.
Nice. Nice.
Oh, baby.
I'm in my zone, I'm feeling it.
Live from West St. Paul Studios, it's time for MinneZona Sports Live with DJ Matty C and Paul the Shield Vold.
And this is MinneZona Sports Live. We are back, yes. Episode 226. Yes, it's MinneZona time. And without further ado, I am your host, DJ Matty C, a.k.a. Matt Callahan, a.k.a. Callie, a.k.a. Matty C, etc., etc., etc. And all the way in Granite City Studios in St. Cloud, Minnesota, Paul Vold, Shield. What is going on there, Shield?
You know, I was feeling pretty good before the start of the show. Then I realized we are in 2025 and we have to subject ourselves to the atrocity, the abomination that is the NFL Pro Bowl games. Of course, I'm wearing possibly one of the greatest Pro Bowl jerseys of all time. It is the Adrian Peterson Pro Bowl jersey, of which he won the MVP of that contest as well. Now we need to watch a 76-63 flag football contest, and I don't know how to feel about it. And all the other chicanery that goes along with it. I'm not a fan. Not a fan anymore. The Pro Bowl at this rate just needs to go away. I think all all-star festivities for the all major events just need to go away. Either that or they need a complete major overhaul on top of that. But I rest my case. Nonetheless, it's 2025. Always acknowledge your tribal chief, Nas Reed.
I'm glad you that took a turn. Yes, acknowledge your tribal chief. Speaking of our tribal chief, here, hold on one sec. I gotta get the wolves on. Come here. Watch live. There we go. Okay, we're good. Yep. So the Wolves got the Bulls tonight, obviously, but Voldy, there's been some rumors and confirmed what maybe not confirmed things. Things are happening. The NBA trade deadline is tomorrow, so we have our eyes peeled on our Minnesota Timberwolves. Now, there's been some names that have brought up. We'll quick talk about that for Hot Take tonight, and then. We're moving on to the Minnesota Wild. A lot of controversy from the Minnesota Wild these past couple of days. Ryan Hartman suspended 10 games. Voldy, you definitely have some thoughts on that whole thing.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk about it tonight. Hot take. So I guess we'll just kind of see where our heads are at for that. But 4 special segments. Table topics. We're back with some table topics. I got some awesome ones ready to go, ready to roll. Thank you to Mama Callahan, as always. And, then we got ARA. We have a really good set of ARAs. The Twins signed somebody. That's why I'm wearing the Twins hat. No, I'm just kidding. I just decided to. Twins signed somebody. Who would have thunk? The Lakers, the big deal that shook the NBA world, and it's still leaving shockwaves. Lakers swapping AD for lukadoncic. So we'll talk about that. And then Max Scherzer is going to the Toronto Blue Jays. Voldy does not like that already. We will talk later on with that. NFL stars. There's been a lot of trades. MylesGarrett says he wants to be traded. The Rams say we're trading Cooperkupp. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe they release him. Thoughts on that? Impact with our Minnesota Vikings. True. Just saying. Leaving it at that. The NFLrefs are insulted by the Chiefs' theories that they're favoring the Chiefs. I can't wait for that one. So, obviously, Shield shoutouts tonight. Voldy's got a awesome set of Shield shoutouts. So, without further ado, I say we get going with some Tater Tot Hot Take. Wrong button. Hot take.
Oh, no.
Fresh out of the oven, it's Tater Tot Hot Take.
Wow, that was a botch by me. Jeez.
Stay hot, kid. Stay hot.
Yeah. So anyway, without further ado, this is a lower third that I was playing earlier. But Voldy, we got some rumors going on with the Minnesota Timberwolves. Let's just start off with the one that I think is possible, and I don't think I ever would say this, but there have been some rumors, and it's starting to heat up a little bit. You know, they're playing the team that this guy is on, and apparently this guy has a father that has, quote, never lost. That being Lonzo Ball. The Wolves they have some interest. There is some interest for the Wolves to go out and get one Lonzo Ball. Now, he's obviously had injury issues these past couple years and whatnot, and there's a lot of teams that are looking to add another player to, or add another guy like Lonzo Ball to their roster. The Wolves, Wolves have been in some talks about that and whatnot, and who knows? I mean, we could have breaking news later on here in the show. You never know. So we'll be ready if that is the case. But let's just start off with this one. Voldy, he obviously, there's some instances where you're concerned about him for the longevity, his injury. There's injury concerns. Being out 2 full seasons definitely hurts his cause. But do you think the Wolves should make this deal, go out and get Lonzo Ball? Are you feeling it? You're not feeling it? What do you got?
If you would have asked me about a year and a half ago, obviously I would say no, don't make the trade, because Lonzo Ball hasn't even been near a basketball court since that time. And, of course, him making the transition back to playing and obviously still getting his feet, pun intended, back underneath him in that process, there's been a little bit of labor of love, I would say. Given what the possibility of said trade, of course, Lonzo Ball, and then the other guy that's on there from the Bulls, I should say, then you throw and give back Julius Randle. You would have asked me about a week and a half ago, I'd probably say, you know what? I'd probably shoot this trade. I would say, yeah, let's pull the trigger on this one. Now, of course, with Julius Randle being hurt and being out for at least 2 weeks right now, that's probably going to hurt a little bit. Contract situation, you get Lonzo for the rest of the season, I would imagine, but the Bulls would have control of Julius Randle for another season on top of that. It is not looking too likely something like that would happen. But would I be surprised? I think it really all comes down to tonight. What kind of factor does Lonzo be? What kind of factor will he be in this contest between the Wolves, obviously being without Julius Randle here for the next couple of weeks at minimum? What kind of play that he'll have against the Wolves, and see if he can be a difference maker on the court, or just by adding depth, I think is another thing that the Wolves are definitely looking at to kind of really push some guys, maybe get them to step their game up, because, well, I mean, we got this guy. He was a, former top pick out of the draft. Of course, he's played on a few different teams since then and hasn't been fully healthy, but still, that top player is still in there one way or another. I would say right now, you had to ask me point blank, go for it. What else have the Timberwolves got to lose?
It's not a bad. The question is, and I know a lot of people are very, they're gung ho about, we got to get rid of Randall. Like, he doesn't fit what we do and this one. But he was playing quite well before he got injured with the groin strain.
Yeah, he was.
And I feel like people just are kind of writing the guy off, after he's only been with the team a couple months, I mean, this guy needs to learn, learn the kind of what's going on. And yeah, he has, and he's had bad games. He's had some really good games too. But in the instance of Lonzo Ball, I don't necessarily look at this situation and say, nah, they should stay away and this and that. I feel like with him coming off that injury and, just having, like you said, that depth, because you have Mike Conley, who's just not the same. You have DiVincenzo, who's out for a little bit too. Yep. And then Rob Dillingham, who's played really well these past few games as well. I mean, we can't write him off either. I mean, I feel like if the Wolves are like, you know what, he can do this. He can lead this out. Like, he's got to earn Finchie's trust, right? So I think this would make sense from the standpoint of, look, he's a good ball handler and a great playmaker as well, getting guys involved. And these past few games for him that he's been coming back, his last 11, 10.5 points, 40% from beyond the arc, which isn't awful, but again, he's still coming back. 3 assists per 3.5 assists per game, 3.5 rebounds, 1.5 steals. I mean, he's only playing 24 minutes, so in the last 11 games. You don't have the factor of, now, if this was earlier career and whatnot, I would say absolutely not. Stay the hell away. LeVar Ball's just going to make this completely, it's just going to be a joke. Nowadays, you don't hear from him at all, so it's like, I say bring him on through. Let's just see what he can do. And if he plays well, people will love him. So I would give it my stamp of approval if we're doing absurd or approve. But I just don't want the Wolves to have to give up that much. Look, the Bulls aren't very good. I mean, they haven't been good for a long time now. And they have guys that are just, they're not as good as, they were when they had DeRozan and everything like that. And it doesn't make sense from that standpoint. Now, the one thing is don't give up Nas, don't give up, Jaden McDaniels or anything like that. We need those guys for sure. Our tribal chief, acknowledge, obviously. But I mean, with Randall, I feel like people are jumping off that whole deal, pretty quickly. But, Lonzo Ball only has 1 year left on his deal, and he's due $21.3 million. And if you're the Bulls, don't you want to kind of offload that a little bit, give yourself some time to kind of reconstruct that whole roster. I don't know. So that's going to be interesting. And if they do, I think you and I are in agreement. Let's just see what the kids got, right? Hopefully they don't give up a lot. So let's go to the one that's a little far-fetched. It's again, there's been some talk, but it's not. It seems like other teams are involved in it with this whole thing regarding Durant and our that douche of a canoe, Jimmy Butler. But the latest with this is, the Wolves haven't really been mentioned, but I feel like locally we're kind of like, maybe they want to take advantage of this opportunity. Maybe they want to go out and get one Kevin Durant, get in a 3-team deal, try to, work some things. Nice. Obviously, the first thing is like, well, if you involve, Julius Randle, it's going to turn teams off. Listen, if you get a third team involved with this and you're able to offload that, get Durant, maybe, and again, I hate to do this, but you probably give up a good chunk of picks, unfortunately, and maybe losing another good player like Jaden McDaniels, which I hope that's not the case because I've been a big fan of his ever since he's been here. But I asked this to the Zoners, and I asked this to Cole Munson if he's tuning in, and/or Roller Tell, just to see what their thoughts are on this. But do you think, Voldy, that the Wolves should at least take a chance, pair Durant with Ant and Durant, they got a really good friendship going, his favorite player, the whole deal. Right. Do you think the Wolves should just make a splash and say, you know what, we add Kevin Durant, yes, he's a little bit older, but do they make the splash and try and bring in Kevin Durant? What do you think?
I mean, it really all comes down to what are you going to have to give up, obviously, is the big thing to get the Slim Reaper in Minnesota. I think it really depends on, what do you give up? Are you going to shell out Naz Reid? Are you going to give up Jaden McDaniels, Nickeil Alexander-Walker too? Any combination of those three guys? How many picks are we going to be giving up? Are we going to have to work some sort of 3-team deal where another team also has to, maybe the Timberwolves give up Jaden McDaniels or something like that, and the other team gives up one of their prize depth players, if not a starter that's on the back end of his contract, to Phoenix for their services and part of the trade. How many picks are we looking at? 1, maybe 2 picks in total. Not just from the Timberwolves, but from a possible third team in the situation. And it would be the Timberwolves' luck to be involved in a 3-team deal for such a player and get nothing really out of it and somehow end up paying somebody else's contract on top of it. I think it really, at this point, barring the trade that we saw with Anthony Davis for Lukadoncic, I don't know how much more of a splash you can really make on top of it, just how absurd that trade was for just how it came completely out of left field and was completely under wraps. But something like this very well could happen. I know that, KD has expressed, there's been some chatter about maybe him going back to Golden State. He said he's not really interested in that. I wouldn't mind seeing it. Maybe one last run with the fellas there in that go around there. But I think you do it. Honestly, I think the Timberwolves are in a situation right now where it's like you had the great run last year. You had Cat in the mix of it. But what are you going to do beyond that? You got to be able to look at it and say, okay, we're not just going to play with what we've got right now. If we want to make this serious, we need to go and maybe make a move or two and add some pieces to help us continue to be a contender year after year. And you just can't sit around and sit on your hands, biding your time and hope that it works out. I say you go ahead and make a move. If you can get KD in Minnesota, that would be fantastic. If it is his last year or something like that.
I have breaking news. Are you ready for this?
Give it to me.
It's not KD. It's not KD. But it involves that piece of crap Jimmy Butler. Breaking news from Shams, the guy. Warriors acquiring Jimmy Butler from Heat in a blockbuster deal. Let's see if I can get any. Yeah, I know. I don't like it either. I hate Jimmy Buckets. We all
watch
know
what happens. The Golden State goes and wins a ring. Jimmy Butler walks out as a champion. Like, God damn it. God damn it.
I would hate that so much. I would hate that.
Son of a bitch.
But, Voldy, just think about it this way, though. That leaves a possibility of maybe Durantula to the Wolves. Just saying.
Opens the door. Knock, knock.
It might open that door a little bit and say, listen, you know, they made their bed with Jimmy drama, but this is a very possible. I feel like now it's getting a little more possible. I'm just saying it's possible. I wish I could get the details. Acquiring Jimmy Butler. Okay, come on, Shams, give me the deets, bro. I'm gonna hop on X, but. With this news, so with this news now, let's change our direction. Do we think that now that, I mean, the Wolves are playing right now, but obviously, you know, the front office is like, whoa, get Phoenix on the phone right now? I mean, do you think they're doing that right now, Voldy? What do you think?
I mean, you certainly can't turn it down. I don't know what things are looking like with the front office. They're on the road in Chicago or not, or if they're hanging back, checking in on the game from their office. I know that this is probably a time of year where maybe you don't venture too far away from the office. So I wouldn't be surprised if they are at home right now or at the office, kind of texting and checking in with their fellow GMs and, basketball, presidents of basketball operations, whatever the title is nowadays for the guys calling the shots. I wouldn't be surprised if they are definitely, on the phone, checking in, see what's happening. What do you need? What do you got? What do you have, basically?
What do you need? What do you got? What do you have? That's perfect. So I do have the details now, Voldy. Let's give it to the zoners. I assume people know too. The Miami Heat obviously, are going to get in return. So Jimmy Butler, Golden State. Yep. But the Heat are getting our former Wolf in Andrew Wiggins. Makes sense. Dennis Schroeder, who's obviously one of those bench guys, and another former Timberwolf being Kyle Anderson.
Wow.
And a protected first-round pick. So
solid.
So, if I'm being honest,
Miami's won that trade.
Miami won that trade. I really believe so. Now, if you're Golden State, let me ask you this. And, obviously you know my thoughts on this, but I want your thoughts on this. If you're Golden State right now, Voldy, how are you going to deal with drama over here? I mean, you have Steph, you have Draymond to maybe get him in the right mindset and whatnot, but I feel like it doesn't matter at this point. It doesn't matter at this point. You have him now. Good luck. But do you think they'll be able to coexist with Buckets there in Golden State?
Boy, I'll tell you one thing. Draymond is not going to play for any of this BS. I feel first interaction, Draymond's going to be all up in Jimmy Bucket's grill and just say, look, we've got a thing here. You want to be a part of it? Great. If you don't, there's the door. Don't let it hit you in the ass on the way out. I would love to be a fly on the wall for any team meeting with Jimmy Butler, obviously Steve Kerr, Steph, and, of course, Draymond all in the same room. You could probably cut the tension with a freaking rusty spoon. That's just it's going to be fantastic. But the fact that Golden State gave up those guys right there, I mean, you give up Wiggins, you give up Anderson, you give up Schroeder as well. Man, that's Miami's got a couple of pieces there they can build off of. Of course, with the most experience, they're coming off Andrew Wiggins being a former top pick, and then you've got some younger guys. Schroeder still, in the young promise of his career, and Anderson still definitely trying to get his feet wet for sure. Miami could have a couple of nice pieces here for years to come. They find a way to kind of put it all together. But yeah, I feel like in the new situation, I feel maybe Jimmy Butler might play things a little bit close to the vest and just try to keep things under wraps a little bit and just be the strong silent type. But knowing Jimmy Butler, that's not exactly his style.
His style at all. So,
yeah.
There might be more details coming out here too, but that's the big one right now. Mm-hmm. Is Jimmy Butler is going to be a Golden State Warrior. So, buckets.
What a time to be alive! What a time!
Yeah, what a time! Yeah, what a time to be alive, and just.
And again, they'll do something stupid like win a ring, and then everybody gets to go out on top. Basically, Draymond calls it quits. Steph may retire. Jimmy Butler will tell everybody to go to hell. Basically, who knows? That might be the fact that Andre Iguodala is getting his number retired by Golden State, which I feel like is completely random because I felt like he wasn't much of a factor, but yet he was at the same time. We're getting the back end of everybody's big times as well.
I hope not. I hope not. And I've never said this, and I don't want this to go into the ether, but I say the thing is when you have these team ups and everything like that, you never know how it's going to go. But it wouldn't surprise me, but I'm not going to go as far to say as he'll never win a ring with Jimmy Butler or anything, but it's possible with Steph Curry and kind of the environment that they have there in Golden State. So I guess it wouldn't surprise me necessarily, but I'm not going to go as far to say as that because I don't want to get absurd statement. So.
Who knows?
Anyway, we'll keep an eye out for trades, things like that. As soon as I get the score, which I can probably get here in a second, I will update you on the Wolves score against the Bulls. So, Voldy, let's move on to our next hot take tonight. Obviously, the big news out of the Minnesota Wild is that Ryan Hartman suspended for 10 games. Obviously, people, if you haven't seen it, I don't know if I would. I feel like the description kind of makes sense. It was a face-off, and Hartman takes, is it Stützle? Stützle. Yep. And kind of just shoves his head into the ice.
Yeah.
He's suspended 10 games due to the suspension. He is giving up $600,000 in salary. Could I have some of that, please?
Right.
Just saying. But he is going to appeal the decision. There's some people that say it was a boneheaded mistake by him, and he deserves what he got. I think he even said this is, I was trying to go for the puck and my arm just got in in that way of everything I was trying to do on the face-off, all that. And it just not a good thing for sure. And obviously driving someone's face right into the ice like that.
Right.
Not great. So Voldy, what are your thoughts on the whole situation surrounding Ryan Hartman? Are you leaning what kind of side are you leaning towards? As okay, it was, it wasn't as bad as you think, or no, it's bad. Like he went out to try to really hurt him. So
right,
where are you leaning?
It doesn't look good. Given the situation, context is really a thing for me. The fact that the Wild were losing and ended up losing that game 6-0 doesn't help Ryan Hartman's case all that much. At that point, of course, game, regularly out of hand, it doesn't look good. I can see the argument of him trying to, of course, with the face-off, guys get in the scrum there. He's trying to use his hand to try to regain his balance because, as we all know, ice is slippery. that argument could be made. But of course, being down and being shut out in Canada on top of that doesn't really help his case all that much. And of course, the Players Association filing that appeal for him, it does help a little bit, but still going to be giving up that handsome chunk of change for that suspension. It doesn't look good. I mean, if you were to ask me, I mean, seeing the video a few times, my initial reaction is like, okay, he's trying to regain his balance. Now I'm looking at it more, and it's like, it's not, maybe not so much accidentally on purpose, but I'm sure some frustration on top of that, trying to win the face-off, given the fact your team's down, trying to gain some momentum. It doesn't look good. I can't honestly say whether good or bad. It's definitely not good. I will say that. But I can't say it's bad either. I mean, it's not like, I'm still trying to figure out whether, whether it was, the intention was fully there, and also that Stutzel coming out of the contest too. I don't know. I don't know honestly what to feel. It doesn't look good. It doesn't help the Wild all that much, especially with Kaprizov being out now. Now you throw Hartman in with the suspension on top of it. Need bodies and need them bad, especially with the trade deadline coming up.
Well, I think there's a lot of factors into this. Obviously, the Wild getting their butts kicked factors into this frustration, the whole deal. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but has he had any previous suspensions or anything like that, Voldy, of that
No, I don't think so. No.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So,
the NHL making an example out of him, and apparently that's the route that they went by throwing the book at him with this 10-game suspension. I mean, you've seen other guys do horrendously worse, and initially maybe 15, 20 game suspensions get knocked down. I think Tom Wilson had one about a year or so ago. Okay. Initially was a 20-game suspension, got knocked down to I think 15, maybe 12, I think, or something like that. But not a repeat offender, but the NHL saying, no slaps on the wrist here. They're throwing the book at him. Unfortunately, I have to make an example out of Ryan Hartman.
Which is unfortunate because I feel like, he has games where he's very good and there's games where he disappears too. So not to say that, but just focusing on this incident, I look at this as a lesson for him to, be very careful of what he's doing, especially on the face-off. But I feel like 10 games is a little too much. If I'm the NHL, I'd probably put it at like 5 or 6. I mean, 6. I think that would be enough, and I think that the appeal could bring it down that much. But like you said, I mean, they just wanted to set the example and be like, no, you're getting, the full brunt of this thing, because basically that knocks them out till March. So that's not good news for the Wild. They're already, strained by the cap situation. They've been in a slump as of late, which kind of sucks because we all thought, they might survive because they, Kaprizov was out a couple games, but this doesn't help. I mean, this definitely does not help, and they could, drop a couple, places and lose a lot of points here these next few, and I think. From Hartman's perspective, appealing's obviously the right way to go. But I could see this not being. I feel like they could be like, nope, you're serving it. That's how it's going to be. So it wouldn't surprise me if that was the case. I just wish that he didn't. I mean, he didn't have to, push down with his hand. Is kind of my thing. Yeah. I feel like if he would have just went, moved it somewhere else,
right?
Maybe that would have helped. I don't know. I mean, it's tough on the face-off, as we both know in hockey. I mean, it's very tough to get. You're going up against somebody. It's just kind of like get the puck or get your butt kicked. So, Yeah, I would say that I think it'll get appealed. I could see the NHL saying, "Nope, you're serving it," and that's the end of that. So, it's unfortunate. When I saw this and I saw the video, I was like, "Oh man!" And were there any like really bad injuries for Stützle after this or no?
Not that I'm fully aware of. I don't think so. No.
So there's that to factor in. I don't know. It's 10. I think's too much. That's just my opinion. And especially he hasn't been a guy that's done dirty stuff. I mean, didn't McDavid do something dirty?
Yep.
He only got, 4 games, or whatever.
Yeah.
That's stupid.
Face the league. That'll happen.
Yeah, true. Very true.
Mahomes effect.
Yeah, Mahomes. More on that later.
Except McDavid's not getting any of the calls. That's the problem. So that was all
True.
frustration when he was effing dudes up left and right.
Yeah. Well, speaking of football, Voldy, I forgot to do this at the beginning, but since we have people here,
yes,
our Super Bowl special will be on Sunday.
Monday!
At 2 p.m. I had to ask Voldy for probably the 4th or 5th time what time we usually do it.
Yep, because we've only done this 5 years. So.
Yeah, and you'd think I'd know the time by then, but I just I was like, was it 1? Was it 4? No. But yes, 2 o'clock. We will be doing our Super Bowl special. We are looking forward to doing our Super Bowl special on Sunday. And Voldy, we've got a little giveaway for that as well. More details on that coming up this week. So make sure you check it out. You guys know the deal because you're going to be trying to pick the team and the score. So we're going to be doing something for that. So keep an eye out. All right, just a quick little plug there. Let's do some table topics. Let's have some fun here.
Yay.
Let's get it pumped up around here. This is quite exciting, and we encourage the zoners to join us as well. We'd love to hear what you think, and obviously throw in your Minnesota sports knowledge into the ring with us. So I say we head to the table, take our seats, and let's do some table topics.
The tables have been set. It's time for MinneZona's Table Topics.
All right, it is time for table topics, and we've got some good ones tonight, Voldy, and like I said before, we encourage our zoners to join us as well. If you'd like, throw it in the chat. Do whatever you need to do to join us. So, anyway, Voldy, tonight we got a good set. We got a good set tonight, and obviously I will ask Voldy, he will answer, and you guys can as well. We could give you guys some time, too, to figure that out. So let's get right into it. Let's do this one. Yeah, let's do this one. All right, this one might be a layup, if you catch my drift. But what Gophers running back did the Patriots grab in the first round of the 2006 NFL draft? Now, before you answer, Voldy, I will say it again just in case owners, they could be lagging behind and, things like that. But what Gophers running back did the Patriots grab in the first round of the 2006 NFL draft? Give it a second or two here.
Let me think here. I don't think I'll so much as say the answer. I think I'll much rather show the answer.
Please show. Hey!
Lawrence Maroney, baby. That's right. I still got my Lawrence Maroney Patriots jersey. Of course, at one point, this was a Danny Woodhead duct tape on the back. I got my Danny Woodhead jersey also stowed away too. But Lawrence Maroney, man, dude was a G. It was great to watch.
Hell of a running back for the Golden Gophers and obviously the New England Patriots at that time. I feel like with him and Barber, that was the duo before, like, the duo of Sonic and Knuckles, that whole deal.
Well, people were during the college football season or whatever, people were talking about, of course, like what was the best running back room in like the 2000s or whatever. Barber and Maroney were thrown into that mix quite often out of like, 7 or 8 different ones. You had like, Wisconsin, you had Alabama thrown in there too, but Maroney and Barber were in there, in a few conversations.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, that's kind of that was the duo back in the day, and I remember watching a lot of those games. So
at the Dome,
pretty
too.
Sweet. At the Dome, yes.
That's how long ago it was. It was at the Metrodome.
That is correct. That was awesome.
Long
All right, this one. Let's go to baseball here. Voldy.
All right. Okay.
So. This one is somewhat recent, I feel like.
Okay.
In 2016, who became the first twin, obviously Minnesota twin, since Hermann Killebrew to hit 40 home runs in a single season? So, I'm going to give the zoners and the... give the zoners a second here before Voldy answers. I'll give the question again. In 2016, who became the first twin since Hermann Killebrew to hit 40 home runs in a single season?
Believe it or not, that this gentleman actually visited us at college at the campus of Southwest Minnesota State in Marshall, Minnesota. Him and Eduardo Escobar, along with Dan Gladden, were in attendance during the Twins' winter caravan. That would be Mr. Brian Dozier.
Ding, 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 ding. Yes, Brian Dozier.
I got the hat here somewhere. I know exactly where it is, but yeah.
I still, unless I did give that away. I'm not 100% sure if I did or not. Actually, speaking of, I think I might have that in here.
The autograph card we tried to give away on the original.
I thought we did give it away. Well, no,
too.
I thought he. No, wait, yes. Now I have to find it. Wait, I have our cards right here.
Yeah, I can see the hat that I had him autograph. Well, actually, I didn't have him. My boss at the radio station. There it to be. Yes.
All
right.
Yes, Brian Dozier. And the thing is like, it's not that scribbly, whatever. I mean, you can just tell. Brian Dozier.
Yeah.
I remember, it's funny. I remember when I gave him the cards and whatnot, and it wasn't Dozier, but Eduardo Escobar. He looks at it. He looks at it, and he looks at the back of it, and he goes. So he just signs it.
That's the weirdest thing he's ever had to autograph. I mean, that's always one question I'd like to ask. Celebrities or obviously. Athletes or whatever. It's like, what's the weirdest thing someone's had to add you sign?
Hey, I mean, this could sell for a lot. Look at that.
Yes,
Escobar.
Could. Wow.
Dozier. Nice. Dan Gladden right here.
Old Danny Gladden. Yeah. I love it.
Oh man. That was a time, man. That was fun. Mm-hmm. So anyway, we kind of sidetracked there, but that is okay. Where did that go? I think it didn't go as far as it usually does. I'm sorry, there's something trending with Sean Payton right now, apparently.
What did he do now? Well, Jimmy Butler signed that extension, by the way. 2 years,
wow, and after he said he wouldn't. After he said he wouldn't do it. Wow.
Well, now he's in Golden State. Now he can do whatever the hell he wants.
True. That's true.
They win a couple titles. I don't know.
Yeah. I'll look at it later. I don't care what's going on with that idiot. All right. Let's do this one. This one's pretty good too. This one we're going to the NFL again, real quick. So, actually, no, that one's way too easy. Let's do this. In November 2003, the Twins received one Francisco Liriano, Joe Nathan, and a guest that we heard from and then we never heard from again.
Oh, Boof Bonser.
Boof Bonser. In exchange for what? All-star catcher.
Oh, boy, and a conversation and a person that we rarely ever agree upon, up until recently with his comments on the Pollad family, AJ Przinsky.
Ding, 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 yes. Man, these ones, I gotta up the ante on these ones here.
We're digging deep on these ones, man. Just like a few names we haven't talked about in a while. It's always
That's
great.
true. AJ Przinsky. He was that sucked when they traded him, honestly. I really did like AJ.
I feel like we got the better end of the deal overall.
True, yeah, we got, Liriano. I mean, Joe Nathan was awesome.
Yeah,
Boof,
Joe Nathan.
Boof had his moments. Then this one was gonna do, and it's like this is way too easy. What 2007 Vikings draft pick finished second in the Heisman voting as a freshman at Oklahoma? Right there, exactly. Adrian. Peterson. Easy, too easy.
Don't draft him. It fumbles the football.
Yeah.
Got shoulder problems.
Yeah. There you go. All right, here's one that I think might give you some trouble. Or I don't know. I feel like we've done this one before, but you know what? Let's just try it again.
We'll do it.
In 2007-2008, what big man averaged 21 points per game to lead the Timberwolves in his first season after coming over from Boston in the Kevin Garnett trade?
See, this one was a dark time in Minnesota Timberwolves basketball history.
It really was.
And I remember this. I remember this gentleman quite fondly because this is when I started paying attention, not explicitly, but just like, oh, what are the Timberwolves up to nowadays? Because I remember big goofy Mike Miller was on the team. You had, this guy too. There's a few other randos. They're just like, oh yeah. Just doing her thing. I believe this gentleman was Al Jefferson.
That is correct, sir. Yes.
That's literally all we had for like 2-3 years.
Exactly.
Was Al Jefferson. And then we got K-Love. And then that's
we had
all
Ryan
we had
Gomes or whatever his name was. Remember him?
Yes.
Oh my God.
That
was so
3
bad.
point guards in the first round.
Yeah. That was just pitiful, man. I mean, just it was bad. So, anywho, we're moving on. That one was another easy
Cincinnati.
one. On to Cincinnati. This one is this one I think might give you some trouble here. I'm just throwing it out there. But what? Well, might not. We'll see. What Twins third baseman was elected to the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame in 2015? Voldy?
Well, this gentleman, I believe, is also going to be entering the Twins Hall of Fame this coming year. Is actually still actively playing baseball amateurly with the Loretto Larks with his 2 boys on top of it. At least he did this past summer or summer before. That'd be at one Mr. Corey Koski.
That is correct. Yes.
One of the earliest
Korkosker, I used to call him.
Yeah.
Korkosker.
Yep. I had Corey Koski. I had a little like bobblehead, like one of the like 5-inch ones or whatever. I remember it was him trying to make a play or whatever. I think I broke the hand off of it. It was so delicate. It was either that one or Torrey Hunter. I can't remember which one I broke the hand off of, but
I had a Shannon Stewart one.
Shannon Stewart.
That's
dog.
a good one. That dude was awesome, too.
I love it.
So I guess that didn't give you any trouble whatsoever.
Yeah, give me a hard one. Give me a real
Yeah,
hard
we got to give you. Yeah, here we go. All right, I think we can change things up here. This might give you some trouble. We'll see. We'll give it a shot, see where it goes, and go from there. All right. So, in 1989, what Vikings defensive tackle notched 18 sacks on his way to being named NFL Defensive Player of the Year? In 1989, what Vikings defensive tackle notched 18 sacks on his way to being named NFL Defensive Player of the Year?
I have my initial gut reaction, and I can't remember timeline-wise if this is going to be in the middle of his career or this is like too early. I'm going to say Chris Dolman. Was it Chris Dolman?
No, it was not. So, honestly, I'll be completely honest with you, Voldy. I don't know anything. I don't know anything about this player at all, and I feel bad about it because I should. But does Keith Millard ring a bell or two?
No.
Yeah.
Not to me. No.
I gotta ask. That's Papa Callahan. Callahan, Jimbo.
We were talking before the show. It's like that's a Papa Callahan Jimbo question right there.
It was even before my older sister was born. I mean, this is crazy. I wasn't even born. You weren't even. I mean, it's just crazy. But that's definitely one. Okay, let's do one last one because I want to test your hockey knowledge here real quick.
Okay, let's do it. Those North Stars now, okay? Who was the final head coach of the Minnesota North Stars? Okay, so final coach of the North Stars, that would have been 94, 95.
Screw you, Norm Green.
Screw you, Norm Green. 30 years later, still talking about you, you rat bastard. Well, before my time, final season, I would have been 1, maybe 2 years old at that point. My brother would have been like 3.
Yeah.
Jimbo would have been very upset by the move in the North Stars too. I have no idea, honestly. I don't know who the final head coach of the North Stars was. I know as soon as you say the name, I'm going to be pissed.
All right, here we go.
All right,
Bob Gainey.
Yep.
No idea who that is. I'm not going to lie. I have no clue. That's like a Lou Nanny question since he was like the general manager of the North Stars at some point. So, yeah, that's what we got. I mean, you breeze through a lot of them, but the last two were tough. I mean, we got to
law of averages. You got to build them up, and then you got to break them down. It's like raising kids.
That's true. So, Bob Gainey and Keith Millard, I got to look up now.
Yep.
So, 18 sacks. That's impressive. 18.
The reason why I went Chris Dolman, because I remember Chris Dolman.
Right. It was around that time.
Yep. Yeah. He had the season record for the sacks for the Vikings, and then Jared Allen broke that on his way to almost getting the single season in the NFL. I think it was Dolman had 20 sacks exactly.
Yes. Yeah.
And then like Jared Allen ended with like 20 and a half or something like that.
And we were terrible that year.
Yeah. And that's what happens. You play on an awful team, and you're gonna, just gonna go out there and get after it.
That's true. It's very true. So yeah, that'll do. Oh wow, I put on the wrong one. That'll do it for table topics this time. Obviously, got to look into some that might give you some trouble. I mean, that was just kind of breeze right through. But I knew the first one for sure was pretty easy. So, with that being said, let's get to ARA. Voldy, we have a lot of ARAs to get through tonight.
Yes,
We've got the Minnesota Twins making a deal for a center fielder. Who would have thought? Not me. And then the deal that is shaking the NBA right now, and obviously
the world too on top of it,
and obviously the big deal that just happened with Jimmy Butler. Now we'll talk about the Anthony Davis Luka trade as well. Picks involved, the whole deal, and we have another signing in the MLB with Max Scherzer going to the Blue Jays, and then the NFL. There's NFL stars there's one that wants to be traded, one that's just kind of like, oh, I guess you are trading me. Cooperkupp and mylesgarrett. We'll talk about those situations, and then to round things off, we're going to talk about the Kansas City refs. Oh shoot, I'm sorry. The Kansas City Chiefs theories about the refs,
welcome to the
secretly wanting to them to win. We will talk about that as well. I mean, you never know. You never know. So, all right, let's get going with some absurd or approved.
It's time for everyone's favorite segment, Absurd or Approved.
All right, it is time for absurd or approved. So, Voldy, why don't you rattle them off for us, please?
Well, we start off in the world of Major League Baseball with a signing by the Minnesota Twins. No, they did not go out and get a prize pitching, a prospect, and or starting pitcher, but they did add a little bit of depth to their outfield, something that we've been talking about the last 5, 6, 25 years of adding depth to the outfield position. Well, the Twins came to a one-year contract deal with a mutual option for 2026 with former Gold Glove winner, and that being Harrison Bader, former New York Yankee, former Cardinal, former Met as well. Bader did hit a little bit below his par, of course, last season, with it being a .236 average, 12 home runs, 51 RBIs, and 17 stolen bases in his time with the Mets last year, but was just limited to 2 postseason starts in 12 games last year. But of course, adding a little bit of that veteran experience off the bench in a situation where the Twins could use a little bit added help, given the fact that Byron Buxton, since joining the Twins, has literally played 50% of the games possible with the Twins. Byron Buxton saying that he is going to be playing center field yet again, adding a right-handed bat off the bench, and also defense in the outfield has worked out well for the Twins in the past. We saw a couple years ago with the likes of Michael A. Taylor filling in for Buxton in a few different spots. But the question that remains within itself, is it absurd or approved with the signing of Harrison Bader? Will Bader play more games in center field than Byron Buxton this season?
You see, this isn't as simple as it seems, because Buxton has I kept believing, and Voldy, this goes back to our Sports Zone days, that I thought with Buxton, the Twins are going to figure out a way to keep him healthy, X, Y, and Z, but we're kidding ourselves. He can't stay healthy throughout a full season. It has been proven. He is a hell of a talent, but can't stay healthy. So this is, you have to think about this for a second, because there's been some years where it hasn't been as bad, but it's he's still getting hurt. Oh, concussion here, his wrist hurts, his ankle. It's just anything and everything, right? So them making this deal tells me, okay, you're bringing him in here. You're doing the Michael Taylor treatment, that whole deal, and he actually played pretty well. Michael A. Taylor was pretty good for the Twins, I'd say.
Definitely.
And he filled in well, but I feel like he played more than Buxton that year, and that was the year they went and won that. Won that playoff game or playoff series. And this is something that the Twins didn't really have last year. A lot of injuries, yada, 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 Pohlads being the Pohlad. It's got my stamp of approval. I think he's going to play more games than Buxton. Yep. It's at this point in time, and I credit people that have said, "Oh, see, this is what happens. We knew this from the beginning. He can't stay on the field and everything." And it's like, you know what, you were proven right. So I am on that notion of, well, he's really good, but he can't stay healthy. So yes, I think Bader is going to play more than Buxton. Now it's a sneaky good deal, I feel. It's not earth-shattering, obviously, but they need an extra bat, and we know what Buxton, he's going to be out. It's just a matter of when and how. So, it's got my stamp of approval. So, Voldy, what do you got?
I mean, this is probably... It's got my stamp of approval, just given the fact that what we've seen the last few seasons with the Twins going out and getting some of these depth pieces to supplement Byron Buxton being injured quite often. Of course, a few years ago, it was the Twins were hoping that maybe Royce Lewis could be that guy in center field. Well, he ends up blowing his knee out not once, but twice in that process. I think the Twins learned their lesson in that. A couple years ago, of course, you signed Michael A. Taylor. Does fairly well, gets himself another contract. I think he was in Kansas City last year, or maybe more recently. The Twins were hoping that Manny Margot would have been that guy this past year, but unfortunately he struggled, and the Twins decided to move on in a different direction. Bader is not a bad piece. I think just he does provide a little bit of that pop. Can be a little bit streaky at times when it comes to hitting too, but still very solid defensively. Of course, a former Gold Glover as well. I mean, this was 5 years ago at this point, but adding a guy there that can definitely move the needle a little bit when he's in the lineup, can steal a bag or two for you on top of it. I think it's a smart move. It's got my stamp of approval as well.
Again, you're working with a payroll that's very minimal, and you're able to get a quality player through it. So, that's a really good sign. I mean, I will give him that. So, we'll kind of see how he does throughout this upcoming season. So, all right, let's move on to the next one. Volde.
Well, the trade that did send shockwaves across not only the basketball world, but, of course, the sporting world on top of it. Late Saturday into Sunday morning in a move that surprised a lot of people. The Lakers, Mavericks, and Jazz compiled a 3-team trade that sent former face of the Dallas Mavericks, Lukadoncic, to the Los Angeles Lakers for Anthony Davis to the Dallas Mavericks. Now, the Lakers did receive Doncic along with Max Kleber and one half the Morris twins, Markieff Morris, from the Mavericks, while the Mavericks did receive Anthony Davis, Max Christie, and the Lakers' 2029 first-round pick. Now, the Jazz were not held out on all of this. They were going to be receiving Jalen Hood-Schifino, along with the Clippers' 2025 second-round pick and the Mavericks' 2025 second-round selection. Now, with all these added pieces being put into the mix, of course, now AD being put into a situation where he could definitely spread his wings a little bit more, given the fact he's at 31 now, with Luka Doncic now age 25, going to the LA Lakers to hopefully cement them a little bit further and maybe shift the balance of power in the Western Conference with LeBron in tow. Is it absurd or approved? This move will put the Lakers back into the conversation for the NBA title.
Quick update, since I know I promised you guys updates. The Wolves are down 56-53. Make that 58-53, unfortunately. But it's second quarter and a lot of game left.
Still early.
We will keep an eye on it, see where things go. Apparently, Ant has been going off. Right as I say that, he just misses one. But they get the rebound to our tribal chief, Nasri. Acknowledge him.
And to get a technical, get another $100,000 fine.
He's trying to get up there.
Hey man, at this point, shoot for $1 million. You know what?
Why not?
Let's just pay $1 million in fines and just be like, you know what? Screw it. To quote him directly, fuck it.
Yeah, true. All right, let's talking about this trade. I mean, let's first start off with the Mavs' way of thinking on this, because there were a lot of concerns that they had, and this has been reported, and apparently this kind of goes back to the previous finals this past year, and people kind of knew that there's kind of some disconnect, and I don't know where it is, and maybe it's just because they're not used to being in this position. So now you have a situation where Luka is complaining about the refs. I mean, he did that a lot, like way too many times, even in the Wolves series, if you want to call it that. It was more of a gentleman's sweep, but there was that, and then he gets to go on against a team that's kind of a no-nonsense group, and they play defense, whereas Luka does not play defense. His defense was horrendous, and the way that I was hoping the Wolves would go and make him play defense on the Wolves, and they would have maybe taken advantage of it. But unfortunately, they didn't. But the Celtics did. And when you have people in the organization saying, you got to stop complaining and everything, but he wouldn't stop, and then he's yelling at the bench for not challenging a certain play where he's trying to take a flop, and that was just garbage by him. So I look at this and say, no, there's something wrong with there's something brewing with them. And then he gets hurt. Yep. They think his conditioning's bad, his eating habits are bad, and people on Twitter calling him fat and everything like that. But you're hearing all this from the Mavs side of things and whatnot, and I think some of it's true. Now, the whole not in conditioning shape and this and that, I don't know about. And again, he was injured, so I mean, who knows? I mean, is this a Zion incident type of thing? I have no idea. So the Mavs, you look at that from that standpoint, and I think that's ultimately why they wanted to get rid of him, because it's like, we can't win with this, with him being like this. So they go and get Anthony Davis, who again is still kind of, he's still got it. I mean, you add that piece next to Klay Thompson and Kyrie Irving. I mean, they got a pretty good squad over there in Dallas. I mean, but if they're going to do anything, it's got to be this season or the following, because they're not getting any younger, right? Yeah. So the Mavs are kind of in it to win now, whereas the Lakers are in this to be like, okay, Luka's got to be the heir apparent to LeBron. So this situation gets a little murky, but if there's one person that can get through to him and get him out of the habit of, not playing defense, if the conditioning stories are true, I don't want to say they are or aren't, or if and then him complaining to the refs, even though LeBron does that too. But there's got to be a middle ground. So, and obviously getting back from his injury. So here's, to answer the question, it will, but it won't be this season, probably not next season as well. They have to build. They just lost another big. They need another big, to be honest with you. And, it's not going to cut it with this group. And LeBron can be Superman all he wants. And, I mean, it could be next year. It could be the year after when he, retires and whatnot. So you've got your work cut out for you if you are the Los Angeles Lakers. So, no, I don't think this puts them in the conversation of a title right now. So I think it's absurd. But I think down the road, it very well could, because, again, they're not just going to sit around. They're going to try to make deals. And, they won in, made a splash, and said, all right, well, it's time to get going here and playing for the future. So, I think it's absurd. Just if it's for right now, later on, I'll give it my stamp of approval. So we'll see. Voldy, what do you got?
I mean, given the fact that he's averaging almost 30 points a game, it is definitely completely out of left field. But, a lot of things coming out with the conditioning and his weight trouble as well. Look, we've seen these European guys. They're not overly jacked and stacked. They're not coming out here with washboard abs and, muscles on top of muscles. These dudes are just, for lack of a better term, built different. Jokic, I mean, he's a multi-time MVP. He's a string bean built on top of a potato, basically. I mean, that's the way that I would describe him. Just long, gangly, and awkward, but he is definitely not, I wouldn't say he's not fat, but he is definitely not skinny. He's athletically fat, I would say. That's what I would, hate to say on a guy that's 25 years old and now he's already up into, his weight earlier this season up into the 260s, but still, he's still out there and putting up, he's putting up almost 30 points a game. And it's probably one of those you look at putting on the weight in order to make it through a season, because there are times too where it's, back-to-backs, road trips. You're not getting all that time to get in the gym to stay fit. You're going to either put on weight or you're going to lose a lot of weight on top of it. I could definitely see the weight being an issue, but I feel like as of right now, it is the Lakers that have won this trade, because you get a great piece out of Doncic, which is still young in his career. Of course, the injuries have started to stack up as of late, but could be something to factor in the back half of his career. But, sooner or later, there would had to have been a move made, especially with LeBron still being on the team. How's that going to affect Anthony Davis's plan? It was going to be one of those, like, those guys were looking to make a run at the title, especially after winning, back in the bubble in 2020 and being close, winning the in-season tournament too last year. It's not for the faint of heart, this trade too. Does it put him back in the title conversation? Still got to beat Boston. They still have a lot of guys in front of them, and just in the Western Conference alone. But Boston, of course, is that team to beat. I think right now it doesn't put them in the conversation for NBA title, but it definitely puts them a little bit higher in regard when it comes to the Western Conference for sure.
It'll be interesting, see how it all plays out. But Voldy, let me throw a trade to you real quick.
Okay.
Somebody on Twitter put this trade, and I want your quick thoughts on it as Tate joins us. Pistons acquire Corey Joseph, Julius Randle, Mike Conley. Magic acquire Malik Beasley and Bobby Clintman. Don't know who that is, but then the Wolves would acquire Kevin Durant. The Suns would acquire Tobias Harris, Caleb Houston, and unfortunately, Jaden McDaniels. Yeah. Do you do it? Do you do that 4-team trade?
Boy, that is a lot of moving pieces. This is a proposed trade. This isn't a real thing.
Yeah,
right?
This isn't a real trade. This is just good, some guy throwing it out there.
I was concerned there for a few minutes. Jaden McDaniels, though, you hate to see a guy like that go. We saw it happen with Andrew Wiggins. Then
a lot of players to give up, too.
A lot of players to give up. Then you get Slim Reaper. What's he doing with his gigantic, weird-ass feet? I think you do it, honestly.
Yeah.
Again, I go back to my early point. What are you going to do? You're going to just continue to sit on hands? You're going to be at the poll ads and just hope with what you got's going to work? Or, you know what? Sooner or later, you got to make the big splash. You got to ruffle a few feathers. You got to shoot a hostage.
Yeah, that's right. I haven't heard that in a long time. I love it. Oh, my goodness. All right. So I just throwing that out there. I just saw this. I was just like, we got to throw it out there. See if you do that. I do it.
Yep.
So, all right. Next one, Voldy.
Well, we head back to the world of baseball and another free agent signing. Right-handed pitcher Max Scherzer and journeyman, of course, most recently with the Texas Rangers, signed a 1-year, $15.5 million contract with the Toronto Blue Jays. Now, the 40-year-old Scherzer, that's right, 40 years old for Max Scherzer, has been a little bit hampered by injuries as of late, but does return to the AL East. Now following, of course, he did have a surgery back on June. Of course, he didn't make his first start of the season until mid-June after having trouble with his back. Then, of course, did make a couple starts, but didn't really get a full season underneath him, finishing his time in Texas. Of course, a 2-time World Series champion, of course, with Scherzer being with the Washington Nationals and also the Texas Rangers when they won the title just a couple of years ago. But of course, with Scherzer, we've seen multiple times these big contracts that have come through. Well, it doesn't really last all that long in the place that he signed contracts with. It worked when he was in Washington. Then he got traded to the Dodgers. Then he signs with the Mets. He ends up getting traded. Where did he get traded to at that point? Was it Texas at that point? Either way, doesn't matter. Max Scherzer, for lack of a better term, is he a cancer in the locker room? I don't know. Gets all these big contracts, doesn't really stay all that long with the team that he signs these big contracts with, and it continues to confuse me each and every time this happens. So this is why I threw out this question for Max Scherzer. Is it absurd or approved even with this one-year deal? Will Max Scherzer make it through the season in Toronto?
Ooh, great question. My question is why Toronto? Is Toronto supposed to be on the up and up or what?
They've got a few pieces to work with.
Yeah. They don't have Coach Bo anymore though, so
no. He's on to Cincinnati.
I love it. But this whole 40 years old. You almost kind of compare it to kind of with Verlander. I mean, Verlander, is he with the Mets again? Is that what it was?
Verlander's now with the Giants.
The Giants, thank you. Okay.
Yeah, Giants, yeah.
So San Fran Giants, and he's definitely on the long in the tooth as well. But Scherzer, I kind of look at and think, well, he could maybe do some things, but I think he's kind of on the back nine of his career, as people would like to say. I would say absurd. I think it's absurd. I think he's going to deal with some arm soreness issues. Hopefully it's not Tommy John. If it's Tommy John, he's done. I mean, it's that simple. But, I think Scherzer, I think he'll probably miss a couple games here and there. I don't see him making it through the season in Toronto. I could see them if he's playing well and the Jays are not. I could see him being in a potential deal with a team. Not saying it's this team by any means, but I could see teams going after him if they're trying to make that playoff push. So I'll say absurd though. I think he'll have some injury issues. So Voldy, what do you got?
I mean, it's not completely out of the realm of possibility like you just threw out there with Scherzer getting traded at the trade deadline, August 31st. I could definitely see it, or I should say July 31st, him definitely getting dealt somewhere. Just really all depends. I mean, the Blue Jays have signed a few guys, though. I mean, they've come up, they've picked up a few guys on top of what they got. Rotation right now would include, of course, with Scherzer, Kevin Gausman, Jose Barrios, Chris Bassett, and Bowden Francis, who has been one of the better pitchers that was down the stretch there for the Blue Jays. For the likes of, for the Blue Jays on top of that. They've been in the mix for a lot of free agents, the Blue Jays too. They did come to an agreement with Anthony Santander to bolster the outfield, and with Scherzer in the mix, the AL East is very competitive. They could certainly be in the conversation to compete, of course, with the Yankees too. And of course with the Orioles that are certainly no slouches as of late. There are definitely a lot of things that need to go right for the Blue Jays coming up, but definitely not out of the possibility of them being competitive. Now, if they do take a sharp turn downward early on in the season, it would definitely not surprise me if they do go ahead and deal Scherzer. You're out $15 million for the season too, and I feel like you'd at least be able to get some good return for Scherzer if there's a contender out there that's willing to take him for sure.
We will see. So, All right. Next one, Voldy.
Well, this one we head to the world of the NFL, talking trades, talking signings. Well, with the NFL soon to be coming towards the end of the season and preparing for a new season, a couple of hot teams in that are looking at quite possibly moving on from some star players, one of which, of course, does include star defensive end Myles Garrett for the Cleveland Browns after a few lackluster seasons, only one playoff appearance on top of it. Well, Myles Garrett said that he has requested a trade from the Cleveland Browns and is hoping to look elsewhere for his future in being a hot prospect to quite possibly be on a team that can compete for a Super Bowl. Now, flip side on the other side, instead of a player requesting a trade, well, a team is saying, yeah, we're going to try and get rid of you. That being the Los Angeles Rams and star wide receiver Cooper Kupp was informed by the Rams that the team will be, quote, seeking a trade immediately. And while Kupp says he wants to start and finish his career in Los Angeles, well, there might be a few bumps in the road along the way there for that could potentially happen. Of course, the Rams are no slouches on top of it after making to the divisional round against the likes of the Philadelphia Eagles, but ultimately ended up losing. Cooper Kupp definitely hasn't been a slouch with his production, but with these players potentially being on the chopping block and the trading block as well, which do you see out of these two guys more likely to get traded before the start of the 2025 season?
It's a great question. Just when we got the news of Myles Garrett, I didn't realize he was there 8 years already. 8 years with the Cleveland Browns. I mean, that's dedication. Especially this past season. I mean, you have the injuries to your quarterbacks and going through Jameis. You went to Bailey Zappi. You had Deshaun, and then he just
Dorian
shattered his
Thompson-Robinson,
Achilles.
baby, DTR.
DTR, another one as well. So I think they were like, oh no, we're keeping Myles. We need Myles here and everything like that. It's like, I think when he heard that, because I think someone recently said he isn't going anywhere, he's going to be Cleveland Brown, all that. And I think he is like, no, I want out. And I think it's the time to. I mean, the Browns aren't getting any better. Now, they were hoping and praying that Deshaun Watson would be their savior, quote unquote, for the franchise. That has not been the case whatsoever. He has played horribly. It's probably the worst trade in the NFL since the Herschel Walker trade. But again, I mean, they're a bad team. They're a very bad team right now. And Stefanski, we love Stefanski here in Minnesota.
For sure.
But I just think they just don't have the quarterback at all. They have a really good defense, and they've got some playmakers here and there, but they just don't have the quarterback. So it doesn't surprise me with Garrett. Potentially, I don't want to name any teams right now that he might go to, but I think we can't, shy away from the fact that a lot of teams are going to be interested, and they're going to be asking for a lot to trade away Myles Garrett. I think if you're Myles Garrett right now, you want to go to a contender and everything like that. I mean, adding more to the defense would be pretty cool for the Vikings. But I did hear, too, that the scheme that he'd be in wouldn't fit what he really is, kind of like a Daniil situation. Like, he just didn't fit the 3-4. So it is what it is. With Cooper Kupp, it's a little bit of a different story. He's getting older. He's had some injury issues and whatnot. But, again, there's been some talk that the Rams might not be able to find a trade partner and just end up releasing him. If that happens, I'm telling you right now, Voldy, I see the Vikings making a play at Cooper Kupp. And you heard it here first on this show. If it's not for a trade, I think if he's released, there are a lot of Cooper Kupp fans in the Vikings organization right now. And I think that they could make a run at Cooper Kupp if he's released. Trading, there might be a team that's willing to pay the extra price and whatnot. But I'm saying if he's released, look for the Vikings to make a deal and get Cooper Kupp on the squad. Kupp, Jefferson, and Addison. Woo! It's just awesome. Couldn't wait. But let me answer the question. More likely to get traded, probably Myles at this point. I'd probably say Myles. I think it's going to take some moving with Kupp in order to do so.
Yeah.
So I've been hearing things that might not find somebody. So, Voldy, what do you got?
I mean, I look at the situation with Myles Garrett. I mean, enough is enough at this point for him in his career. I mean, he's put up all the numbers that he could, bar short of playing quarterback and throwing touchdown passes. He's done just about everything he can to keep the relevancy of the Cleveland Browns. He's given, Kevin Stefanski 2 Coach of the Year awards by the NFL, even though one of those should have gone to Kevin O'Connell the first time around. I won't talk about that, even though that's a shame within itself. But I feel with Myles Garrett, it's definitely put up or shut up for the Browns for them to say, all right, I've done my part. Why haven't you guys done yours and try to create something? It's always, we're trying, we're doing it. We got the quarterback. We got a couple of guys here that could definitely make some plays. But then on top of it, guys get hurt, messy situations, teams faltering at the end. And Myles Garrett is still left there wondering, why did I ever get drafted here in the first place? And I understand the frustration there. That's definitely one thing that I throw on top of it. But again, it's going to be one of those. The asking price for Myles Garrett is going to be very high, at least 2 first-round picks, if not 3 first-round picks for Myles Garrett for that trade to be even fathomable in the first place. On the other side, with Cooper Kupp, of course, injuries, the emergence of Puka Nacua the last couple of years, the Rams are in a situation where, okay, he's going to be due big money here. If the Rams do keep him or trade him, that's going to be a big cap hit for them. But if they do decide to cut Cooper Kupp this offseason, that'll save a little bit of cash. And of course, the salary cap would be much less of a hit if they decide to trade him after the June 1st deadline in that regard. I could very well see Cooper Kupp get cut just for the sake of saving a few dollars and cents. And you talk about him coming to Minnesota, former offensive coordinator for Kupp in his first few years, Kevin O'Connell knows how to throw him open. And, one of the first conversations that Justin Jefferson had with Kevin O'Connell's, how do you get Cooper Kupp so wide open? Well, there's only one way to find out, in the system, and why not get the guy that has been open a lot and can, get through defenses well enough, even for a tall, lanky white guy? Why not throw Cooper Kupp in Minnesota? Why not? And, have some fun with it. Maybe that gets us over the hump there offensively, at least, and hopefully we don't get, shellacked again in the playoffs. Neither here nor there. But if you ask me between the two, who's more likely to get traded, I would say Garrett, just because I feel like the Rams are going to cut Cooper Kupp before any sort of move would take place, just for the sake of saving a few dollars and cents.
Fair enough. I'm just saying, and if they want to make that big splash, they have the cap space and everything like that in order to do so. But again, it comes down to the Vikings addressing the interior O-line. That is the key. You have to protect, whether it be J.J. McCarthy or Sam Darnold. So we'll see. But I'm very intrigued. I mean, all these stars kind of being moved around. Very interesting. All right, let's end things off with the NFL of Volde.
Yes, we stay in the world of the NFL in a conversation and a meeting that took place earlier this week. The NFL Referees Association decided to meet with Roger Goodell, commissioner of the NFL, dismissing any suggestions that officials have favor of the Kansas City Chiefs when it comes to working their games. In a quote that was put out by the Referees Association, quote, and Executive Director Scott Green, quote, "It is insulting and preposterous to hear conspiracy theories that somehow 17 officiating crews consisting of 138 officials are colluding against to assist one team. NFL officials are graded every week on every single play of each game. These grades are the determining factor to who receives postseason assignments. The NFLRA commends its members of who all strive to do exactly what all 32 NFL teams do, which is excel at their jobs so that they are working the last game of the season, the Super Bowl. Of course, we have seen some of the numbers. Of course, the one crew, I think, what's the one guy's name? The guy that looks like he should be working as a mortician, or the scary guy from the Addams Family, Lurch, or whatever his name is. For some, Martin, I think his name is, or whatever. But that guy's officiating crew now 7-0 when doing Chiefs games, and the Chiefs are 7-0 in that. We had that conversation previously, but the fact that the Referees Association now coming out saying that these theories are preposterous and are, quote, insulting, is it absurd or approved? Are these, quote, theories uncalled for against the NFL Refs Association?
Well, I think I put this in our Zona chat too, right away, and I'm glad you put this in here because I got a couple thoughts on it. I know we're running out of time here, but I'll quick, mention a couple things. First of all, when I first saw this, I'm like, no, what's insulting is that it's not just the Chiefs. It's all around. There have been calls that they've blown when you have three guys looking at a play when Sam Darnold's head is getting ripped off. This is not a whole, theories, they're favoring the Chiefs and things like that. Well, let's go back to the AFC Championship game here. Oh, that's a catch with Xavier Worthy against Bishop there. Two outcomes that it should have been. And they said on the broadcast as well. So this isn't just fan theories being thrown out there and everything like that. Because when you have former referees like Gene Steratore, right? I think that's his name. You have other guys and guys who have played the game before. And Troy Aikman and guys that have played numerous times, Tony Romo being one as well. This is not just fans. It is players as well. People that commentate on the game that have played the game before. The hits that was brought up again in the Chiefs game against the Texans, the two players colliding with one another, thinking that they hit Mahomes. This is where they've lost the argument. Him saying that it's insulting is actually insulting to us as fans. Goodell and the other league officials have said the league will likely expand its replay assist program to include some calls that have drawn attention around Chiefs games, most notably quarterback slides. See? They've pretty much already admitted that there is something wrong with the referees. And it's like, you shouldn't put it in the hands of the referees and everything like that. I get that. Right. You have chances to win the game. But when it comes down to, perfect example, Matthew Stafford fumbling the ball and the Vikings picking it up for a touchdown, and the call on the field is a fumble right for a touchdown. He drops the ball. Oh, that's enough to say he threw it. His arm was going forward. This is not a Chiefs referee problem. This is a whole NFL problem with the referees. They need to be held accountable. The fact that he says, it's insulting. What's insulting is plays like the Darnold play, the Cashman picking up the ball and taking it for a touchdown. This is the problem. It's them. And them favoring the Chiefs, there's a whole lot of proof of calls going all their way. Like you just said too, Voldy, they have a referee that is 7-0. Or was it 6-0 before, or was it 7-0?
6-0. Then it was 7.
Then it was 7-0. Look, that rarely happens. And of course, this pops up. It's a little fishy to me. Just saying. Mm-hmm. And watching the Super Bowl on Sunday, if it comes down to a call, you better pray to the gods that you get this fixed next season, because a lot of people are losing faith thinking that this is scripted. Just saying. All right. Anyway, rant over. Voldy, what do you think?
I mean, I look at this. I mean, the fact that they are addressing said theories too, that means that there's something fishy going on top of everything. And the fact that, of course, all these close games that they've played, and yet they've found last-second ways to win a lot of these close games. Of course, you throw in a block field goal at the end, some calls that have gone their way at the very end, and a lot of these situations. I mean, there are a lot of people that need to get paid off and are all a part of this in order for it to be fully successful. And the fact that nobody else has come out and said, you are correct, we are fixing these games for Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs, it's a little bit far-fetched, but the fact that they're addressing it means there might be some validity to it as well. We never thought basketball games would ever get rigged, but then we had Tim Donaghy, and, well, we all know how that turned out on top of it. Betting on baseball. Heard one umpire is now officially, he's fired by the Umpires Association because of gambling allegations on top of it. And these theories aren't completely uncalled for. I feel like we're just trying to put something a little bit more light on a subject that people are upset by, the fact that the Chiefs are now getting all these calls. Of course, the way that the Patriots did back in the day, the Dallas Cowboys too on top of it, and all these great dynasties that have come out of the last, 30, 40 years. I mean, they're definitely not uncalled for sure. I think we're trying to find a scapegoat, but at least in my memory, the fact that we're talking about this, there's something about it that is seeing a lot more out of it than we did with the Patriots, with the Dallas Cowboys in the 90s too. Of course, social media plays a big factor on top of it all. And of course, could you imagine we had social media back in the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s? Right. I feel like a lot more people would have gotten canceled on top of it, and there'd be a lot more people in jail on top of it. But no, I don't think they're uncalled for sure. And the fact that the Referees Association decided to put out a statement means that they're starting to boil over and not focus on the real thing, is stop giving the Chiefs all the calls.
Now, this wasn't, I'm glad you made that point real quick. We didn't hear much with the Patriots that as much. This is excessive for the Chiefs,
right?
I mean, to be honest with you, and again, I don't necessarily hate the Chiefs. Really, I just think I'm mad at the NFL for not addressing this, and especially when you have a game like the Vikings and the Rams with the face mask and everything, and you have 3 referees sitting there, and they said they're graded after every performance and everything like that. I want to see that grade. I want to see that grade right now. I want to see it. I think it's an F. Absolute Definitely. Big old fat F. They should never ref a game anymore. You have 2 guys sitting there watching it, and that's why people are having all these conspiracy theories and all that. It's just saying, this is not just the Chiefs' problem. This is a ref problem. And what's his name? Scott Green. Yeah, Scott, you're full of shit. I'm sorry. You are full of shit. So that's what I got to say about that. Take it for what you will. But, yeah, this is more than just the Chiefs' problem, is what I'm saying. So, anyway, we'll maybe even talk more about it on Super Bowl Sunday with our Super Bowl special, 5th annual, I believe, Super Bowl special. So we're looking forward to that. Speaking of 5, there's some Shield shoutouts that involve the number 5 as well. So I think we need to get to some Shield shoutouts.
Shield shoutouts.
All right, Shield, who ya shout out tonight?
Of course, you probably did see it on our socials medias, but a big shout out to the Callahan family out in Philadelphia trying to butter us up after, of course, the 5th anniversary show that did take place, but with a 5th anniversary cake that was sent to Matt. Sure did look good from the pictures that I saw, but unfortunately I didn't get a piece of cake out of it all. But I'm sure it was delicious nonetheless. Of course, those Philadelphia fans trying to sweeten the deal, if you will, pun intended, maybe sway our vote for the Super Bowl special coming up on Sunday. We'll see how that works out of it. And, of course, a shout-out to Minnesota Vikings byronmurphyjr as he was named Defensive MVP for the Pro Bowl games flag football game. Whatever the hell that means. I know that Pro Bowl MVP used to actually mean something back in the day. Now, not so much. It was a complete blowout. I think he had a pick, if not 17 interceptions in that contest that led to scores the other way. But, hey, congrats to Byron Murphy. He got a MVP of the Pro Bowl games, if you will, for the flag football contest. Yay, I guess. I'll take it. And that's going to do it for Shield Shoutouts this week.
Well, the one thing to say about the cake, I had no idea was coming. The funny thing is, quick story. I go over to my parents' place because they were having, all my siblings over and everything. My nieces were there. And I walk in, my mom's wearing her MinneZona shirt. So I was like, oh, nice, repping the brand and everything like that. And whatnot, and she's like, oh, it's just kind of a, look, we're just having a little, celebration because you had your 5 years. I was like, okay, cool. Right. Papa Callahan comes up wearing his MinneZona sweatshirt, and I'm looking at him, I'm like, oh, wow.
All right, what's the deal here?
All wearing MinneZona. My sister comes home from her boyfriend's, and she comes down the stairs, she's got the quarter zip on, and I'm just like, what is going on here? I don't understand. And so I didn't think of anything of it at first. All of a sudden, my parents, or my mom gets a call or FaceTimes my aunt and Uncle Tom, Aunt Dorothy. And all of a sudden, I see a cake just given to me. I'm like, what the heck is this? And it was the 5-year, them ordering a cake for our 5-year anniversary. That's awesome. I meant this. It was absolutely awesome to see and whatnot. But I was told too, we just be prepared, Voldy. That's all I gotta say. I'm zipping the lip. There might be some things happening come next time as well. Because I will say the cake was okay. Don't do black frosting. Don't do it. I mean, it's just it got let's just say my nieces had black tongues. And everything like that. So the next cake we were all thinking, and again, it wasn't it was still very good cake.
Of course.
We'll do like white or, just that whole deal.
Look, even bad cake is still good cake.
Exactly. And it wasn't even, and again, it wasn't even bad. It's just, and Lucas says it right here. He just wants cake now. So, I mean.
I luckily enough at work, they had a serving of cupcakes over the last few days. So I had my cake filled the last few days.
Hey, there you go. So, hey, there you go
Make
with
up
that.
For it.
So, but yes, thank you to them. And Byron Murphy, stock just went up. So now we got, I mean, maybe a little bit but it's it's a joke, Pro Bowl and whatnot. But again, congratulations to him though. I mean, that's very cool. I mean, again, you add that to your resume. Hey, pretty sweet.
Hey, AP was Pro Bowl
MVP.
Kyle Rudolph was Pro Bowl MVP.
That's right. And defensive MVP, that's pretty good. You got to pick on, was it Russell? So, wow,
sure.
It's tough. But anyway, great job, Shield Shoutouts this week. Voldy.
Thank you, sir.
And, you guys know the deal. Super Bowl special on Sunday. Make sure you join us. We will have the form like last year. You guys fill it out. We'll predict the score, pick your team, and then we'll go from there. Whoever wins will get a giveaway, which we will reveal this week. And keep an eye on the socials medias is all I'm saying.
Yes,
so Voldy's got something cooked up well for that. So make sure you check that out. And then we got merch. If you're like, screw it, we just want merch. We want the sweatpants. We want the shirts. We want the stickers, the hats, the whole kit and caboodle. winter has not left us. That is for sure. So if you want
it is
some,
currently snowing in St. Cloud. So
and I'm sure it's snowing out here in Mendota Heights as well. So I will be checking that here. But we got plenty of merch that we can send out to you guys, and make sure you talk to one of us. Thank you to National Fleet Graphic, Crown Rental, Tyler Knutson, W2 Performance, our guy, Will Rattel, www.w2performance.com. And make sure you check them out on YouTube, socials medias, the whole kit and caboodle. And then make sure you check out the Brotherly Ballers podcast. Tyler Hermann and Jack Vickers. Those signed helmets will be coming at some point. So very curious to see what they look like as well. So we'll be talking with Tyler here soon. TLS Performance, our guy, Troy Stoudemire Jr., doing some awesome things as well. Ripped as hell, much like Rattel. Pretty sweet. And Popcorn Bucket List. Nick Dahlhoff, Ryne Myhrberg, the Rhino, our guy, Omni Entertainment. Make sure you check out those guys. And they just had they had a little snippet, most anticipated 2025 movie this year or whatever. You know what I put in the comments section? I said, what I'm looking forward to is the Netflix special, the story of Ryne Myhrberg, the Rhino. That's what I'm waiting on.
nice.
Let's go. I need to see that. So that's a must-see. Netflix special. Make sure you check that out.
Love it.
But we love it here. But anyway, that'll do it for episode 226. Guys, Super Bowl special on Sunday, 2 p.m. Feel free to join us. We might even throw out a link and just say, hey, guys want to join us? Talk some Super Bowl? We'd love to do it with you. So make sure you check us out on Sunday, and we will enjoy Super Bowl fun, and we'll enjoy the Super Bowl right after our special, because that's what we got to do. It's Super Bowl Sunday, baby. Let's go.
Yes, sir.
So with that being said, remember, as always, folks, keep in the zone.
Holla.
Thank you for watching MinneZona Sports Live. Join us Wednesdays at 7 p.m. for live show broadcast. And as Voldy likes to say, follow us on all the socials medias.